Motorhead Garage, the program that each week introduces you to and shows you how to install the latest in exciting and innovative products for your vehicle. Now here's your host, Dave Dobson.
We are Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com. Now your vehicle's battery, it gets charged through the alternator, which gets its power from the engine. And it only works if the engine is running. So if you've got a vehicle like a motorcycle, classic vehicle, your lawnmower, it sits a lot. And you've probably learned the hard way one time or two when you get in, it doesn't start up when you need it. So there are other maintainers and chargers out there, Kit. How are they different from what PulseTECH does? You guys have a technology that's amazing.
You're exactly right. There are a ton of chargers out there and different options to charge your battery. What's different about PulseTECH is in our name. We have a technology that is a pulse that we put 25,000 pulses per second into any liquid battery, and what it does is it dissolves the sulfates that are floating around in the liquid of your lead acid battery. And sulfates are the culprit of what kills about 80% of all dead batteries.
So are you telling me that if a battery's dead, if I perceive it to be dead, you can bring it back to life?
About 70% of the time. We actually have recovery chargers. And with a recovery charger, we find that we can bring back batteries that have been sitting in your barn for 2 years, and you thought it was dead, just forgot to throw it in the landfill. You can put it on one of our recovery chargers. About 70% of the time, we can clean the sulfates out of that battery, bring it back to its full capacity again, and put it back in your tractor or your car or whatever you're using it for.
What if I've got a car that just won't start, but I know the battery's still good? You've got some chargers over here.
Absolutely. So this is our XC400. It is a battery charger that's good for any 12-volt lead acid battery. Like every other product you see here on the table, not only is it charging your battery, but it's also pulsing your battery. And by doing that, we say that you're going to extend the life of your battery up to 3 times. So if you're getting 3 years out of a current car battery, we say that by using our technology, you're going to get 9 years now out of that battery, or up to 9 years.
Save you a lot of heartache, save you a lot of money.
Absolutely. For a product that costs less than half of a cost of a regular car battery, you can't beat it.
And you've got a new unit here for folks that have a lithium-ion battery.
Yeah, this is
or any type of battery.
Yeah, 6-volt, 12-volt, and a lithium-ion. Such a cool product. We're just now getting ready to release this one, and it's a smart charger. So if, let's say you don't even know what kind of battery, you don't know if you've got a 6 or a 12-volt. Sometimes I get confused. Once you connect that to that battery, that charger recognizes that and says, hey, that's a 6-volt battery. This is how I need to charge it. Again, same technology. It's charging and it's pulsing.
What if folks tell you it's going to be awfully expensive to buy one of these for each of these vehicles I have in my garage?
Right, we've got a great solution for that. It's called our Quad Link. So with our XC400 or XC450, a simple SAE connector will go into this Quad Link. This can actually charge 4 batteries at the same time. And the way that works is, let's say we have 4 batteries. We've got your Audi, your riding mower, 51 Ford, and a motorcycle. They're all connected at the same time. This charger will charge 15 minutes on the first battery. It'll move to the second battery, 15 minutes, and it'll rotate and keep doing that and make sure that all 4 batteries are fully charged and, again, pulsed and conditioned.
This is the Power Pulse, and how does that work?
It's one of the coolest things we sell, in my opinion. This little module, it's as simple as connecting a negative and a positive onto your battery, setting this beside the battery, gluing it to the top of the battery, whatever you want to do. This thing does the same thing all the chargers do by pulsing the battery and conditioning it. This is not a charger or a maintainer, it's only a conditioner, but it's fantastic. If you put this on a brand new battery that's supposed to be a 4-year battery, we're telling you're going to get up to 12 years life out of that battery by putting this simple $40 Power Pulse on it.
I see you've got a couple solar panels here.
Yes.
That's another way to maintain the battery. How do those work?
These are a fantastic product. Same thing, they're not chargers, they're maintainers. So they're to go on a good battery. But let's say you've got a boat that you keep outside and you're not able to run an extension cord out to it. You can put this on there, connect it to the battery, it'll maintain it. But what really makes our solar panels different is this is a ruggedized solar panel. Try doing that with any other solar panel on the market. We're gonna have glass all over, so we're gonna have to sweep up and get started over again. With this panel, that doesn't happen. It's indestructible, has a 10-year warranty, and again, it's got the same pulse technology that you see on everything else here on the table.
All this technology is incredible, and you don't have to just believe Kit, you can believe the military. They're using these things. I see you have a pallet charger there. You've told me some stories about that. How does it work?
Right. We have a ton of success stories with all of our products, but a pallet charger is something that's used by the military all over the world, from Alabama to Afghanistan. We actually had a case at Camp Arifjan in Kuwait a few years back where they think they had 15 to 20,000 12-volt batteries sitting on pallets. Asked us to come in there and see what we could do to recover them. Within less than a year, we saved the U.S. military $7 million in batteries by recovering batteries that they thought were dead, bringing them back to life and put them right back into their equipment.
PulseTECH's been around for 30 years. They're a U.S.-based company. They're military tested, military trusted, and you can find all this technology at PulseTECH.com. And oh, by the way, if you order there, use your discount code MOTORHEAD. You get a limited time 20% discount just because you watch the show. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com. So keep it right here.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com. Brought to you by Shock Therapy, Ride Your Way, Shade Wagon, Throw Some Shade, and by DragonFireTools.com, industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage.
We are Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, and we're joined now by one of our favorite guests, Guy Olson from Performance Fuel Specialist. Now, Guy, this time you're here to talk about diesel. And I've always been taught that you need to treat your diesel fuel in the wintertime because of all the gelling and the icing, but you're here to tell us how to weatherproof our diesel. Why do we need to treat it year-round?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And things have really changed in the industry, and it's leading up to more issues than we've ever had before. So we recommend treatment all summer long for a number of reasons. One of the things we need is lubricity. The new fuel systems, the tolerances are so incredibly tight. We're creating huge amounts of pressure in the fuel systems themselves. And so we need to lubricate and clean and take care of them each and every time. And that's not always an easy thing to do.
Now, lubricity is not the only thing you're looking for in an additive. What else can an additive do for your diesel fuel?
So our additives are a complete formula product covering a number of different problems. One of those problems would be water. You know, part of the problem you have with pressure or with the tolerances being so tight, you create a lot of pressure, which creates a lot of heat, which has problems, several problems of its own. One of them is condensation. So while in the wintertime you worry about getting a water freeze up, you really generate the water in the summertime. And so the product is going to take a little water out every time you fuel, so when winter gets here, we don't have a tank full of water.
And we talk about system cleanup when it comes to diesel fuel. Why is cleaning your entire fuel system so important?
Well, because of the tolerances, you see with a very small buildup, simply 3% buildup in an injector nozzle relates to a 12% loss of performance and efficiency. A micro amount of deposit can make a big difference. And who can afford a 12% loss of efficiency? Not to mention all the problems that brings with fuel in your engine oil, fuel dilution, and soot level.
Well, let's talk about soot. It's not just coming out of the exhaust system. No. It's causing a lot more problems within the engine. What are those?
More than people even realize. So soot is just a grit. It's just a little tiny piece of sandpaper, and you're pumping that through your engine. Of course, it's grinding on your bearings and everything else in your lower end. But the turbo is a huge problem. The turbos run at about 150,000 RPMs. The tolerances are so incredibly tight, very, very small. And now we introduce a little bit of grit inside that bearing or fuel, unburned fuel itself. It is so important to keep that engine running at peak. That'll keep that turbo running, keep it clean, nice, fresh oil, because it doesn't matter how good your oil is. If it's full of soot or diesel fuel,
you're sandblasting it.
You're sandblasting it. It's no good. And so you got to do that each and every time you fuel as well.
Now, what about the exhaust system? You don't think of exhaust as something you need to clean.
Yeah, exactly. But we treat the exhaust system by keeping track or taking care of the ignition system. So by your fuel igniting, burning more evenly and more completely, those sensors, those DPF, diesel particulate filter exhaust units stay cleaner longer, you regen less, your sensors last better, and they operate precisely versus being clogged up. So part of it is not only taking care of the fuel system, but taking care of the exhaust system.
And back to the engine, you talked about all the forces in there, all the the parts that are spinning, especially in the turbo, and that creates a lot of heat.
Yes. So how is heat a detriment to your entire system?
Yeah, so part of the heat that you get is through the pressures in the system, and you're returning fuel to the tank at a high pressure, so that oxidizes your fuel. It takes brand new diesel and it makes old diesel out of it by sending it back at 160 plus degrees, and that creates IDID, internal diesel injector deposit, which is a whole new problem, condensation in your tank, and as we talked in the gas segment, the warm fuel does not burn efficiently.
Something that you've talked to me about off camera, I didn't even know existed, microbial contamination.
Yes.
How big of a problem is that?
Yeah, microbial contamination has continued to explode. Part of it is because of ultra-low sulfur fuel. Part of it is because of the heat we're generating with the new high-pressure engines, which creates water, which is oxygen for these bugs. These bugs love warm fuel, and they love water. And they actually grow in your gas and your diesel, but primarily your diesel. So one of the things we've done, because we work with a lot of fleets, is come up with a microbial test kit. You can easily take a sample out of your fuel filter itself, put it in the vial, set that on the side. We've got a paper with the different problems you have and the degree you have them. You find out, you give us a call, and we will walk you through the steps and the product that you need to take care of that particular problem.
Your fuel system makes up 2/3 the cost of an engine like this, so you want to maintain it, you want to make sure it stays clean. You can do that with PFS. You can learn a lot from Guy on the videos that he's done. You can also subscribe to his newsletter. And if you have a fleet, bring this guy to your company. He does this all the time. He can educate your employees on what it's like to take control of your fuel system. You're going to learn stuff you never even dreamed of. You can find all this and a whole lot more at fuelguys.com. And you can find more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com just around the corner.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com, coming to you from the Shade Wagon studio.
Well, I have 3 containers of brake fluid here. If you had to put one in your car, which one would you choose? Welcome to this AMS Oil Tech Tip. Well, it's pretty obvious right here. I wouldn't want this one. Yeah, this is old brake fluid. It's been in a vehicle for a while and it's kind of contaminated, but looks could be deceiving. These two here, well, they look pretty similar. So we have to understand all about brake fluid. Brake fluid is hygroscopic. Hygroscopic means it actually absorbs water. So if you leave the cap off or you have a big container, it's going to absorb water. Well, that's a problem because it's going to lower the boiling point. We'll look at that in a minute. But we need to check the brake fluid. I'm going to show you which one would you pick. Why is that? Well, I actually have a little meter here that measures water content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that in this one here, and it's a little bit of yellow. It's been out all night sitting here. Now watch this. This one here, well, I got this out about a week. Bam, you see it go right to the red there? There's a ton of water content in that one. So that one's gonna boil. And when it boils, see, it makes air in the systems. Air is compressible and liquid's not. That's not a good thing. When we talk about brake fluid, we have to understand the different types. There's .3, .4, .5, and .5.1. I'll make it pretty simple for you. The higher the number, the higher the boiling point. Now, there's one exception. .3, .4, .5.1 are all glycol based. .5, well, that's silicone based. So .5's for some special applications, military vehicles, motorcycles, stuff like that. We don't use that too often, but we do use .3, .4, and .5.1. The higher the number, the higher the boiling point. Use what your manufacturer service manual calls for, but you can always supersede the number. You can go a little bit higher. For example, if my car called for .4, I could put 5.1 in it, or if it called for .3, I could put 4 in it, but I can't go backwards. We talk about checking brake fluid. Now we can check it with that tool I just used a little bit earlier. We can also use a refractometer, and you just look through it. And when you look through it, exactly what we see right there is the content of what's going on of the boiling of the brake fluid. We can also use these little test strips. We can put them down in there, and this actually measures copper content, which is weird, I know, but some of the nickel metal lines have some copper in there, and the brake fluid starts to deteriorate it. We know it's going bad. Now, we actually boiled some brake fluid, which is pretty cool. You can see it right here. It's not a controlled test, but these are both .4 brake fluids, and you can see the one on the left, it's not boiling at all. The one on the right we left out overnight. You can see the color change. It boiled pretty quick. Len, AMSOIL has us covered with brake fluid as well.
We do. We've got brake fluid for all of your different applications. Just, check out your owner's manual, make sure you're using what they recommend. But one of the things that I wanted to mention, especially in the climate that we work in, is once that brake fluid picks up some water, it freezes. So your pedal will get extremely stiff in the cold. Something maybe people in the southern states don't think of, but those of us that work in the north have those issues. So the main thing is use what's recommended for the vehicle and change it.
Yeah, and I love AMSOIL because theirs is specified for .3 and 4, and it actually reaches the specifications of 5.1, which is awesome. Now, brake fluid is serviceable, just like all the other fluids on your vehicle. For all your fluid service needs, go to AMSOIL.com.
Sometimes a car isn't just a car. There can be a big emotional attachment to it, and that is the case with our PaintedAutoParts.com Motorhead of the Week. Dean Huggins says his grandfather ordered this 1937 Ford Sedan Deluxe brand new. He picked it up on July 12, 1937 from a dealer in Council Grove, Kansas. And years later, in 1960, Grandpa gave it to Dean to drive to high school during his senior and junior years. And Dean told me he tore it to pieces driving it on the gravel roads of rural Kansas. He kept the car for decades, though, with dreams of restoring it. And in 2013, Dean retired from his job and he set out to make that restoration happen. The body, the head and tail lights, and the bumper brackets are all original. He just got them re-chromed. But Dean has taken his grandfather's car to the next level. Among the changes, he dropped a 347 Ford Stroker motor into the car, and the car has a Mustang 2 front end to make it more drivable. When I talked to Dean, he couldn't stop singing the praises of Talent's Hot Rod Shop in Kansas City and Don Kite and his amazing work on that interior. And this just in, Dean's car just won an award for outstanding use of color choice at the NSRA event in Springfield, Missouri, the first of many awards to come, I am sure. Congratulations to Dean Huggins. He's the PaintedAutoParts.com Motorhead of the Week. And if you know someone who should be Motorhead of the Week, give us a shout. Go to MotorheadGarage.tv and tell us the story. We'll return with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com. Keep it here.
Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com. Industrial workbenches with integrated tool storage. And brought to you by PaintedAutoBodyParts.com, the leading U.S. auto body parts online store. AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. And by Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977.
This is Motorhead Garage presented by DragonFireTools.com. And this is a cell phone, of course. We all have them, and you're a motorhead, so I know you love to be in your car. So what do you do with your phone when you're in your car? You've got a lot of options, right? You can put it on the magnet on the dash. That's on your vent. It's going to block your vent in the summertime. That's a bad deal. In the wintertime, it's going to fry your phone. And you can put it in your cup holder. You can put it on your lap. But, of course, you know you're going to drive it. It's going to fall into the crack there, and you'll never see it again. And half of the states, Scott, in the union don't allow you to hold it in your hand anyway, and that's a bad idea. So what's my solution? What can I do?
So you put it in a cell phone seat. Cell phone seat is the newest device in the market. It is a single piece of plastic that's got a flexible base. All you got to do is flex this and pop it in your cup holder and release it. It's going to lock in there, and then guess what? Now you're legally hands-free. You can just drop your phone in there like that. You can also go horizontal. You got power cord access here, and here's the best part. Cell phone seat does not block your cup holder. You still have room for your drink.
Whoa, that is cool. And it's so simple. Why didn't somebody think of this before?
I don't know. It was exactly the same with me. I was driving in my neighborhood in my truck. I threw my phone in my cup holder like most people do, and it landed in some kind of a goo, from my kid's squeeze pack. And I pulled my phone out, and I was kind of annoyed, and I thought, why isn't there a better solution? And kind of this idea popped in my head, and I went home to look for it. You go home and you look online, and I was like, this has to exist. It didn't exist. I couldn't figure out why. So I decided to draw it out, much to my wife's dismay, as she's looking over my shoulder saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was like, I got an idea. So I drew it out. I found actually a designer that could do 3D AutoCAD type designs, and we 3D printed them just to test it out. And I got the first one I remember that was 3D printed, and it was huge. It was like this big. And the guy that was kind of helping me with the designs felt bad. He's like, I messed it up, it's too big. I was like, no, send it, let me see it. I need to know if this works. Sure enough, I put the big one in my cup holder. Even though it was giant, it worked perfectly. So we kept going, and as you can see now, we have the final version. It took about 6 years to actually get this just right. But now we have a universal cell phone mount that fits in about 90% of vehicle cup holders, holds pretty much any phone, phones with cases, any type of phone, phones with accessories, pop sockets, loopies, doopies, sloopies, whatever you got. This one simple device is going to work for most everything.
What are some of the little extras you put a lot of thought into to keep the phone in place there?
Sure. So the first thing we did was we cut out these side slots here, and that's going to allow you to put your phone in there horizontal. Interestingly enough, it also works with tablets in that horizontal slot. We put this in my son's cup holder on his car seat, and he can put his iPad in there for long road trips. We put a flexible tab here that's going to put a little pressure on the phone, so it's going to hold phones in there, phones without cases, smaller phones, it's going to hold those in a little bit tighter. And then it also can flex back when you have bigger cases like this. This is an iPhone 14 Pro with a wallet on it. It's going to be able to flex back and hold those in there as well. Those bigger cases with OtterBox cases, it's going to be able to push that tab back and hold that in as well. We have power cord access here, so obviously people want to be able to charge their phone in the car. And I like the fact that this sits in your cup holder. Your power cord is staying down here to the side. A lot of newer cars have those flexible tabs in their cup holders or those rubber kind of squares. So we cut the slots out here to allow those tabs to go right in there, and they work great. It's so fun to put this in when you have those spring-loaded tabs and hear it just click in place like it's meant for it. But that doesn't mean that you need those tabs. It's going to work with cup holders without the tabs or without the rubber things as well. It's going to work in a lot of different cup holder styles as long as they're between about 2.5 to 4 inches in round, which pretty much
Most of them are, right?
Most of them are.
You put so much thought into the design. How much thought did you put into the materials that you're using as well?
We talked about doing, different types of plastics. We talked about doing different types of materials like rubber. We landed on ABS plastic, which is the same thing that Legos are made out of. It's a very non-toxic, safe plastic, right? Because kids play with it. And if you've ever stepped on a Lego in the middle of the night, you know how strong ABS plastic is.
Guilty as charged.
This is a very strong, well-made device. It's going to work in extreme heat. It's going to work in, extreme cold. It's a very universal material.
It's a veteran-owned company. The product is made in America, and this is going to make things a lot safer and more convenient for you when you're behind the wheel. It is called the Cell Phone Seat. You can find it at cellphoneseat.com. We have hit the finish line for this edition of Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonFireTools.com. We'll do it again next week, same time. Thanks for tuning in. Drive safely.